lot of news articles. I'm listening to a lot of people talk about underwriting is, easing up because people who were underwater and maybe lost their house or went short, now they're getting back in the market, so they've got to relax the rules, make it easier, kickstart the market, blah, 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 blah. But what's the real story? USA Mortgage, the largest locally owned mortgage broker, banker in town.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys say about underwriting standards?
I think the underwriting standards have been somewhat relaxed for a while. And by that, I mean, when we look at the fundamentals, it's your credit score, your debt to income ratio, the two big things there.
Right.
Those standards have been pretty relaxed for a while.
That is counter to what the rest of the world says. Relax versus what? Frankenstein Mortgage Company?
If you're going to go back and compare it to from 2000 to 2006.
Oh, well.
Okay. Then that really wouldn't be, because unfortunately that was artificial. It was area that we were covering that we should have never been in.
That was the bubble.
Right.
If you could sign your name, you got a mortgage.
Right. There were some practices that were happening in many fronts in the mortgage world that just shouldn't have been happening.
Right.
But remember, now I started in the loan business in the early 90s.
Because you're old.
Where the fundamentals, yeah, exactly. Where the fundamentals were more strict. So what I see today wasn't happening in the early 90s. So people can get...
You mean it's more relaxed today than it was in early... But it swings, right?
Sure it does.
And it's never in the middle. I mean, it lurches from one side.
Unfortunately, that pendulum tends to go too far one way or the other. Absolutely.
And doesn't spend much time in the middle.
Correct.
So today, 2015, first half, you think that it's a relaxed mortgage environment?
I think that it's not as difficult to get a home mortgage as people might think it is.
Okay.
The difficulty usually lies within the level of documentation that people are asked to provide.
If they don't have the documents, they're not getting. Whereas it's always been my feeling that the rules have never really changed. It's how we adhere to the rules that changes, right?
Well, in some respects, the mortgage world hasn't completely kept up with technology. Like when we talk about the internet and we talk about people banking online, and people don't get their bank statements anymore. They don't keep a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Well, that's one of the big things that a mortgage will ask for. All the pages of your bank statement. Right. They want to see all the history. They want to see the deposits coming in.
Millennials, Danny and Krista, have you guys ever had a paper bank statement?
When I first opened an account.
Yeah.
100, years ago.
So, people come in and say, I need to see your banking information. They hand me their telephone. Here's your bank accounts.
That's what I would do. That's what I'm planning to do when the IRS comes knocking.
And so from the mortgage perspective, it's just we do require documentation, and a lot of people just don't keep it anymore. They're just not. It's not like the old days where you kept your file and everything's stored electronically now.
So what do our listeners need to know? I mean, we've got plenty of people. What's that?
How to print. Save and click and print.
What they need to know is that the world in which we operate on a day-to-day basis is not necessarily the world that underwriters operate in, and that underwriters have to have documented proof. And so if you are thinking about being in the real estate market to buy a house in the next 4, 5, 6 months, which, by the way, you should be thinking about it because rates are going up, prices are going up. The sooner you buy, the cheaper it's going to cost you in the long run.
Which was the point of that article I had sent you that we were talking about earlier. Which
is by now. Yeah, but we don't want to be salesy. I mean, we're trying to be informative. So
absolutely.
Yeah. But the point is that if you're planning to be in the market, get ready.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, find out by calling Mike Mudry.
314-503-6024.
It's almost like we planned that. Find out by calling and find out what you're going to need. I mean, Danny, you and I can help people and say, well, you're going to need pay stubs and bank accounts. But get ready. I mean, get a paper file started, because what we find, and Danny, I think you'll back me up on the buy side, is it's not necessarily how long it takes to get all this stuff together. It's how long it takes to get started getting all this stuff together. And if you wait until the day after you submit a contract, and because Danny is your agent, you get that great house at the best price, if you wait until then, it's not unlikely that you'll miss your finance contingency date before you even submit all your document to the underwriter.
I would really like the listeners to know and understand that, you see a lot of people on TV, you read a lot of stuff where it talks about the difficulties in the mortgage market. And from my perspective, it's not as difficult as people might think it is.
Right.
And the fear that some people might have, I'm telling you that no matter what's happened to you, no matter whether you had a foreclosure, a bankruptcy, a short sale, whatever, your house was underwater, whatever it might be, there's a remedy for it.
And the remedy is information in a timely fashion.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate this conversation because I think there's always just confusion.